Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special show, virtual show, celebration of Black History Month 2024. It is our third annual celebration. My name is Sivambe Laidam, and I am the founder and president Voice of Men 360. Voice of Men 360 is a non-profit organization founded in 2020, and it is based in London, Ontario, Canada. Voice of Men 360 was born out of seeing a tremendous need and stepping up to provide services to help, support, and overcome men and boys' life challenges. We are part of International Men's Day. International Men's Day has been serving for over 25 years, and so far, 95 countries around the world join together and doing various activities regularly. IMD follows six pillars, which is the overall well-being of boys and men. We follow in the same footsteps. Why do we want to celebrate the heritage of each ethnic community? Voice of Men 360, we want to recognize every ethnic group, appreciate their contributions, given give them opportunity to showcase their cultures and talents, build relationships, collaborate with them, and work together for a better society. We also want to create awareness about men's boys issues through these initiatives and help them. Speaking of Black History Month, it is one of the oldest and strongest ethnic groups in Canada and around the world. As non-Black, it is our responsibility to learn about their richness of their cultures, traditions, talents, and challenges. Having a Black History Month celebration through our platform will give us some opportunities to join and understand them beyond the heritage. Let me introduce our host for this special show, Honoré. He is an artist and a Black youth mentor. Honoré, take it away, man.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Savannah, for holding the space for us. And I appreciate being here. I appreciate you all. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening to join us, lovely panelists. So, actually, apart from being an artist and a Black Youth mentor, I am also an art teacher. And I enjoy teaching art in high school. It's just been so rewarding to me, and it's something that I choose to continue as my own business. So I do want to let everyone know about our esteemed panel we have this evening. But before I get into anything, I do have a disclaimer, a little housekeeping, if you will. We would like to remind everyone that Voice of Men's mission is always delivered with good faith for peaceful harmony. The views and opinions expressed in today's episode are those of our speakers and do not represent Voice of Men 360. Our organization engages in discussion forums to offer inspiration and create awareness about the issues of men who wish to overcome their life challenges. We are not providing medical or therapeutic advice. Should you require that type of assistance, we recommend you contact a medical professional immediately. If you have questions or concerns about today's episode of Voice of Men 360 content, please email us at info@voiceofmen.org. Welcome back to the program. So, today's theme that we're celebrating is Black Boy Joy and mental wellness. The combination of the two, they go hand in hand. It is it can sometimes be quite difficult, and choosing one could be an option. So, between your mental wellness and your joy as a man or in your youth as a boy, you are going to be looked at and interpreted in a way differently from other ethnicities. And this has continued to be an ongoing issue. However, today, during this month, we are going to celebrate our Black men, celebrate our Black boys, and I want to let everybody know Black History Month yearly has a different theme. So every single month, it is a different theme. And today's theme is Black excellence, a heritage to celebrate, a future to build. When I think about Black History Month, I like to let's be honest. Black History Month, Black History 365 days. I've always seen it as a celebration of myself every single day. I'm sure you all have too. It's an innate feeling that we do not need a month. No longer shall we be boxed in and make ourselves smaller in the shortest month, but we celebrate Black culture, Black history, our heritage every single day through our ancestors. So I like to use the month's theme as maybe a hmm, I choose to reflect on it as a positive push in the year. And when I think about heritage to celebrate and a future to build, it gets me so inspired in anticipation of the new year. So I'd like to introduce our guests. And as I introduce our guests, I would like you to let me know your interpretation of a heritage to celebrate and a future to build. I'm now going to start with our first guest, Clarence Wynter, a co-founder, board member, executive consultant, and member of the Calgary Black Chambers Society. Clarence,
Evening, good afternoon,
good evening. Welcome.
all. It's a privilege to be a part of this forum and really recognizing the value of what Black History Month means, and to look at it in terms of the legacy we leave for the younger generation, having this opportunity to celebration is to our Canadian platform totally. Black Canadians have played a pivotal role in shaping Canada's cultural, social, and economic fabric. From the early Black settlers who escaped slavery via the underground arrived in search of a better opportunity in the 20th century. Black Canadians have left indelible marks on various aspects of Canadian society, and we are here to really look at those values, to really send the message and to amplify what the value is in celebrating
You're cutting out a bit.
Black History Month. Thank you.
Clarence, Clarence, sorry, the Wi-Fi or the internet connection is cutting out a little bit. Is there a way you can secure a better connection? While you're doing that, I'm going to introduce the next guest. Thank you for sharing your interpretation. And we're going to just dive into Lynn Belleus. So
You're welcome.
Lynn is actually a fine artist. She's a realism portrait painting artist, as well as an Ottawan marathon runner. So I ask Lynn, a heritage to celebrate, a future to build. What does that mean to you?
Group.
The
Yes. So, in terms of heritage, Black history, for me, when I was first introduced to it as a young child, as a teenager, um, is a time where we basically focus our attention on all of our different cultures, our heritage, to see exactly just how much we enrich the country's the culture, with all of our different things that we can bring to the Canadian landscape in terms of our heritage. A future to build. I feel like with the consistent and yearly boost of Black History Month, our youth will be ingrained in them that they are valued, that everything about their culture and their heritage brings more richness to the culture, the Canadian culture. It's all of us, not just one group. And I feel like that's an important month that we should reinfuse that into our youth so they know that going forward as adults that there's nothing that they can't do because they come from a lineage of people that fought hard to have them be where they are.
I love that. I love how you speak about richness. It's not a dollar amount or like what's in your savings account, building interest. You're literally talking about our culture, our rich culture, and our ability to create communities, especially come together for our boys and our Black men.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Next up, I'll pass that question to Bianca. Bianca is a wellness facilitator and a creative entrepreneur.
Thank you, Honoré. And thank you for having me tonight. It's a pleasure to be here on this platform. So when I think about heritage, I think about us kind of making sure that we're doing our research and educating ourselves in our history. A lot of our history isn't, broadcasted in the most correct lens. So it's up to us to do our own digging. And even though that could be frustrating, I think we are a generation that is truly navigating the future with not just the richness of the culture, which is so important, but also I think we're finding more ways to balance our richness in terms of finance, but also our richness in terms of our health and our wellness. I think our generation is definitely much more aware of things such as mental health and how to find the tools to help us heal our traumas and break through our obstacles or setbacks. And I really like the fact that we, well, at least I have seen, I don't know if this is an official term, but I've seen Black History and Futures Month is something that they're trying to coin. And I think that that's beautiful because it's not just looking at our struggle or our past, but honoring the rich heritage that we have and bringing it forward to the future.
Yes, yes. I love you just dropped so many gems there. What stood out to me in particular is when you were expressing finding the tools for mental wellness. This panel, I know we can have more great gems and quotes in order to help us find those tools and just navigate in a way where it is community driven. We are all supporting one another because that's how it ought to be. It's about time that we get on board and finally give boys and men the support which is accessibility above all. Okay, next we have our guest, Sharrae Lyon. Sharrae Lyon is a multidisciplinary artist and an embodiment facilitator.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here on this panel to have this conversation with your audience. And, you know, when I think about Black History Month, Black Futures Month, I thank you, Bianca, for bringing that into the mix as well. I find that it's the time of the year where I get to almost do a self-review of how much I've learned throughout the year and being able to connect with our community and hear about what other people have learned over the past year. You know, I think I think our community is very internally, we tend to push away what makes us special and African and, you know, people of African descent there is a lot of denial. There has been a lot of denial over many years about our spiritual richness, I would say, and the wealth that we have in our community that actually gives us the tools and has given us the tools, has given our ancestors the tools to be resilient. And I think, for many young youth, when I also do youth work, some youth feel like we are, still in a terrible situation. And it's not to say that we don't have challenges in our community, but I think Black History Month is a time where we realize how far we have come, and also how far our ancestors used their imaginations. They used the arts, they used culture, they used dance, they used music as tools to process the things their joys and their challenges. And it just helps us to remember that we have all the tools, and we have a torch in our hand, and there's more work to be done. And so we must continue to do that work and play.
Yes, of course. Need to cut loose. It is imperative that we acknowledge what Sharrae has just said. What stood out was we tend to push away what makes us special. Why? Why is that? We hold so much power. It is hereditary, right? This pushing away, this denial, your head down, it is something that is so common in our boys and men to do, not as good as our white counterparts, right? Society has built structurally this system for us, and hence hereditary. It is, like I said, imperative that we band in support. Just again, touching on what Bianca was saying, coming together with community and truly pushing this Black excellence forwards onto our boys and men and just our community in general. People, our community, if we see ourselves in these big positions, manager roles, and like just really making a difference, that is what we need to just push everything forward. So thank you. I'm already so inspired today. I can't wait to see what Rolando has to say. I know it must be, it could be a little daunting to follow up after 3 powerful women, but you know what? You and Clarence, I know you have some gems to spill. So Rolando, let me introduce you first. Rolando is actually a men's life coach, psychotherapist, and an author. Rolando, please answer the question of heritage to celebrate as well as a future to build. What does that mean to you?
Thank you, Honoré. And I'm just here soaking up all the gems that the ladies have thrown down, and my mind takes me to April 3rd, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He made one of his popular statements as he was talking to the people. And, I remember the line where he said, whenever Pharaoh wanted to keep the people uneasy, he made them fight among themselves. But whenever the slaves got together, it was the beginning of freedom. And as we look at our heritage and we backtrack and see all the work that all these reformers and all these men and women before us have done to pave the way for us to be experiencing what we are experiencing now. And also, as we seek to piggyback on what Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, emancipating yourself from mental slavery, a popular statement that Bob Marley made popular when he sang his song. If we were to reiterate these 2 phrases, the heritage has already been laid by a lot of effort and sacrifice and hard work. Now, here we are, as was said so rightly by, I think it's Sharrae, we already have that torch now. And what we've got to do is we all have got to get together and recognize that the shade of our skin does not make a difference. We are all one people. And so as we can capture that idea together and we bond together and move in sync, it will help us to understand that there is a heritage to celebrate and there's a future to build. But we can't build this future unless we are hanging together.
100%. Community is now our theme of the night. So, Rolando, I love how you touched on Marcus Garvey. We're talking about MLK. You really brought us back. And it's inspired me to introduce the next question. How important is this Black history to you? So I want to again start it off with Clarence. How's your connection right now, Clarence? Can we just get an audio test?
With band and connection in Western Canada, we always have that issue. So I'm good to go now.
Okay, the question is, how important is it to know our Black history? How important is it?
Who are you asking that to? Who's first up?
Is Clarence leaving? Or I was asking it to Clarence. If the connection will hold.
Maybe send
Okay,
him.
just to
Okay,
keep things
could you
moving. Repeat the question? Okay, Clarence, how important is it to know our Black history?
Yes, please.
I would like to know in your words, why is it important and how?
Still breaking up. I didn't get it. Oh.
Okay. In that case, I'm actually going to pass it off. Lynn, Belleus. Same question. Clarence, hang tight. We'll come back.
Thank you, Honoré. I think it's incredibly important to know your history from as young as you're able to remember, basically, because if I just speak on my experience alone, I grew up in a predominantly, white community. The school systems, as you most likely probably all know, the school systems here, when it comes to historical events, Black history is completely omitted from the curriculum. And so when they do touch on Black history, it starts and ends, well, not ends, but it starts with the colonization of Africa, of North America and enslavement. And for me, I only started doing, when I started doing my own research and realized how rich our culture is, and it begins thousands upon thousands of years before slavery. That's when I got in terms of how strong we actually are as a people. We endured and lived through and built and contributed a lot to humanity as a whole. Not even to mention that humanity started in Africa, the continent they always try to minimize on a map. But I feel like it's incredibly important for the youth to know just how rich and how deep their blood really goes. Because it helps to boost their confidence. It helps to, sort of maybe even deal with some of the traumas. Bianca mentioned how to heal our traumas in the intro. I feel like knowing your history helps to navigate through this world that is predominantly in this country itself. That's predominantly not, what you look like in the mirror. I feel like knowing where you come from, knowing your history is a crucial part to being Black in this country, in North America, period. So you can navigate this world knowing that, your bloodline is actually rich and runs, deeper than any other race on this planet.
I might just pipe in with my comment on that in the terms of
Yes.
Black history in Western Canada is a very rich history, and I have found that the legacy that has been here, because I do love history myself, knowing some of the history and the legacy of it really enriches me in terms of really imparting that knowledge to the younger generation and the new immigrants who come to Canada, not knowing that there's a very legacy of history that we need to know and basically need to empower ourselves. The legacy of that history is of value to strengthen the confidence in the Black community and especially the youth, to give them some sense of value of not being victimized and not having the tools to support that, to strengthen their values in themselves.
Well put. Yes, well put, you two. It's resilience, right? That's ingrained in our bones and our heritage as well. This type of resilience and knowledge is power. We've been known this. All right, so Rolando, how important is it to know our history?
You know, it's one of the most valuable things, you know, Honoré, because Black history creates Black sensitivity. Black history opens you up to understand that your origins were not an afterthought. Your origins came from long before even there were many other known practices. So knowing your history helps to build you up and helps to get your mind in the right space whereby you can understand that I am just as valuable, I'm just as smart, I'm just as witty, I'm just as conscious, and I can be as effective as anybody else because I deserve and do have a place on the planet like every other human being who exists. So, Black history is Black sensitivity, it's motivation. It is what we need to know as a people in order to walk out in confidence every single day.
Oh, I love what you said there. I love the affirmations that you speak with. It's such a power. And I know we touched on this before, but if some of our Black men and our boys truly knew the power that they hold with this melanin, it could really be something truly spectacular, truly magic, coming together as a community. And it's just so powerful. Affirmations. You were touching on intelligence and like oftentimes, sometimes I succumb to, am I smart enough? Can I actually troubleshoot this? And that's just the oppression of these constructs, right? So affirmations definitely number one, and I know we can always figure out these types of solutions with affirmations, bigging up ourselves. Sharrae Lyon, I pass that question off to you.
This is such a beautiful conversation. You know, for those who are coming, you know, are young boys, right? There was a time where everything that we knew, that our ancestors knew, was a threat, right? And so what colonizers did is they did their absolute best at trying to erase our knowledge of ourselves and the knowledge of our tools, our practices, our cosmology, how we saw the world, you know, how we understood our relationship to the sun, how the world was created, right? Our origin stories. And what happened through slavery, it was what they call a brain drain of Africa, meaning it was the best of the best in terms of science, math, arts, architecture, that were brought over to build the new world that the Europeans wanted to build. A particular segment of the Europeans, I will say, okay? Not every European was, bloodthirsty racist. I'll say that. So when we are talking about Black history, it is this moment, right, that then triggers almost a fire for the rest of the year for us to remember. And one of the most important, I think, axioms, or what is also an axiom, is essentially like a motto, right, is know thyself. The truth will set you free, right? We might be hearing these things, right? And we might not know exactly what they mean, but it's essentially this idea that when you know yourself as an individual, as a divine being, divinely created, and then you remember your people as divinely created, you are operating on a foundation that is pure, it's beautiful, it's powerful, right? And it helps all the lies that are being told about you and your people to wash away. Just poof, it's gone. So listen to your elders. If you hear elders who are hearing things, if the TikTok dances that you might come across, or the music that you might be coming across, know that there is a legacy, that there were our ancestors who built the rhythms, the ways that the drums, the dances that we do, right? There's a root to it all. And that root is us as African people.
Yes, Sharrae, bringing the true history. I feel like I'm in a lecture right now. This is gold. Sharrae, you're talking about the real history of our erasure, the education, that wealth of knowledge that we had. You see the TikTok dances, and it's just our ancestors coming through us and creating these social anomalies, or not anomalies, like the trending, the most important things on the internet to date. So that is very, very special, that just the wealth of knowledge that we had, and it continues to vibrate through generation and generation, and we see it come to fruition. Again, affirmations are so pivotal. So thank you so much for sharing that. Always a wealth of knowledge. Bianca, I have to ask the same question. What does our history mean to you? How important is it?
Yeah, so many amazing gems have been dropped just in this round. I'm trying to wrap my mind around everything, but Sharrae, you hit so many amazing, essential, crucial elements and points that we need to remember. And you talked about know thyself. And funny enough, I love one of our Toronto quotes, which is like, know yourself. So like, if you know yourself and you know where you come from, that's going to empower you to where you're going. And when you take the time to delve deeper into your rich history, and we're talking spiritual, cultural, musical, intellectual, like all of the things, like it makes you so much more prideful of where you come from and all of the wealth that you literally bring. Like it feels like all your ancestors are always behind you, just like rooting for you and making sure that you're like on the right track, and you feel literally divine. And it's a spiritual connection. It's a thing that's undeniable, and we need to always remember that. And I really also like what you mentioned earlier with using Black History Month or Black Futures Month as a time for reflection on what have I learned in the past year, what have I contributed, what, things like that. It really, I'm going to definitely take that gem and make sure I use that as a metric time to kind of see how much I've learned, and held myself accountable for bringing our history into the future. So yeah.
Yes, bringing our history and educating our youth is so important. It's imperative and our responsibility to do these things. And I know, Bianca, you touched on the spiritual aspect of Black History Month and our history, and even transcending into today's culture where we have that Toronto slang, know yourself. It's just another way of that further connection, that strength in community, and that positive push we need. So, Clarence, how important is it to know our history?
Well, it's a foundation of who we are as a people. It's also an enrichment to recognize being the individuals we are. And especially, I will really use one point to emphasize the women in our lives, how important they are in terms of who they are as a people and basically what they're about. I look at the history as women is the foundation of our existence. Without them, we men wouldn't be around to have a conversation. And I look at their biological and emotional makeup that basically, for me, I adorn them as queen of the universe because of who they are. And looking at the essence of without them, we would not be here to have this conversation. So the foundation of history give us the value of looking at life, adorning that, but also adorning ourselves when we know we are given the spirituality, the consciousness, and the awareness of who we are, where we come from, and exactly how we can empower our younger generation to see the consciousness of what life is and what we are as a people.
Wow, beautifully put. Very, very beautiful. I want us to take a moment and really take in what Clarence was expressing. Respecting our women. This is the foundation to a strong, healthy youth coming into manhood, right? We can all agree. And I know, Lynn, you actually have a child, and I know you can speak to this. As you're raising your child, can you actually express to us now how important is it for your child to learn these manners and just the way of courtesy and just being uh, being able to grow into a healthy man?
Right. Yes. Well, my son is 9, and we were in Toronto. Just a little bit of the background. We lived in Toronto, and we moved here about 2 years ago. In Toronto, there was his environment was more multicultural, lots of different cultures around him, whether it be, Filipino or Caucasian, of course, other Black nations. My husband is Jamaican. I'm Haitian. When we moved here now in Ottawa, where I grew up, it's less of a mix. It's still mixed, but it's less of a mix. So from the very beginning, we instilled, the knowledge of self in him to the point where his dad, my husband, made sure to have his middle name be Taharka, one of the most popular pharaohs in the Kush Kingdom. So we really work to build in him self-confidence, of where he comes from, who he is. No matter where he is, he's a very strong-minded boy because of what we instill in him. So he knows that really nothing can take you down because you come from a people that are strong and that are mindful, and we respect every other nation, every other culture, but know your culture, respect your culture. We teach him everything there is. He knows both Jamaican culture, Haitian culture. He loves foods from both. But we do instill in him the importance of knowing himself, knowing the strength of being a Black boy in a society. He's very aware. They had Black History Month, not to go off too much, but they had Black History Month at his school, and they showed the children some footage of Viola Desmond. And the way that they explained that to the children was very sort of just like a regular curriculum, but that was their way of trying to infuse more Black history in the curriculum, which I applaud them for that. But he did send out, after watching the atrocities that were inflicted on Viola Desmond, and stood up and said, This is why I hate white people in the middle of a classroom full with other whites. His teacher was white. And so we got a call from the teacher, and my husband explained to him, like, when you present these types of historical footage to children, you have to be careful, because even as adults, when we're faced with the reality of how our ancestors had to deal with the conditions, it's a very sensitive topic. But he knows that because of those events, we are stronger. We are people that can still respect other people and move forward with the strength of confidence going forward. And he knows that from young, and we instill that with him every day.
May I just add that that's a historical moment within itself, like him standing up and shouting that will be written in books one day.
Yeah, that was an interesting meeting we had with the teachers.
The point of it is exercise. I have a voice, and my voice is to be heard. And this is one of the negative deficit our children suffers through the school system, because it was written in a manner that if you have a voice, you become a victim of circumstances. Until you really understand Black history, then you realize how important it is. And we have had examples in our history, like Nelson Mandela, like Bob Marley, like Marcus Garvey, and all other writers who have really expressed that in the terms of articulating it in a way that basically they can be heard. And this is what we have to reinforce in our society, especially a multicultural melanin society. We have to really identify with to make sure I have a voice.
Yes, so key. And during this live session, I was trying to find a word, viral moment, for like speaking on the TikTok dances. But Lynn, that is definitely a viral moment. I don't know if that got caught online when your son was saying white people, but that is pretty profound.
He doesn't hate white people, just to let you know. He loves.
Oh, hey, no one's putting that out there. It's just in the moment, feelings. He was expressing himself, right? Like, I remember when I was that age, and I could not find the words. I didn't have the vocabulary to truly express how I was feeling. That stigma of Lynn. I know you're expressing that you were he was being raised in a predominantly white society. I share that experience. And back then, I just couldn't find my verbiage. I didn't have that vocabulary to express myself. And I often just hung out by myself. I was a loner because I was just so frustrated, filled with rage at times, and I didn't know why. I couldn't express that. I couldn't let it out. And it took me years. It did take me years, but it's great that your son has that support system, that impeccable Jamaican Haitian support system. I wanted to ask, does he favor Haitian cuisine over Jamaican cuisine? I'm dying to know.
He loves his curry chicken and curry goat and curry chicken. Ooh. And he loves griot very much. He loves both.
Okay, equal parts. That's good. We might have a problem if he's like, Jamaican food is the best. But right. I can understand. Both are delicious cuisines, undeniable. We have a responsibility as adults. We do have a responsibility. I mentioned this earlier, to educate our youth and set them on the right path to success. And with that being said, how do we continue to spread awareness of mental wellness within our Black men and boys? Now, I'm going to start it off with Rolando, that question.
Thank you, Honoré. One of the things that I've observed over the years doing psychotherapy, I've noticed that people of color are the people who resist reaching out for help or even acknowledging that mental health does exist. I've been doing this now for over 12 years, and I'm still waiting to fill all my fingers with the amount of Afro-American clients that have walked into my office and say to me, Rolando, I'm struggling. So I think the first thing that we need to work on as a people is to acknowledge that mental health does not discriminate. Mental health is not racist. It shows up on the doorstep of any race, color, class, or ethnicity. As a people, we've got to learn how to normalize those conversations, create a safe space, and provide the quality professional support that's needed so we can start healing from some of the trauma that we have experienced in whatever shape or form it came in. And until we start doing that, it becomes hard because what I've learned, Honoré, is there are men that I've engaged with, men that I've spoken with who are in relationships who they're not allowed to express emotions because their partners make it appear as though if they do, they are weak men, they are not man enough. So, how does this father teach his son or daughter that expressing emotions or showing emotions is safe and healthy if culturally we have not yet opened ourselves up as men to embrace that as a part of who we are, recognize that, hey, we are human beings and we can hurt and we can feel and we can show it. So I think one of the first steps that we need to make is how do we normalize these conversations in our culture? And then how do we start moving out of our comfort zone that sometimes, sadly, is culturally created? So we have got to really understand that Black excellence is not Black ignorance. So we've got to move out of some of the ignorance that we have created in the culture so we can heal and move together.
I will concur with you, Ronaldo, because in the instance of really exercising that comfort zone for Black men and boys, they are men who have grown up through a process that having an emotional impact within themselves, they have never experienced it. But creating a conversation of trust and a safe space for that expression is a very valued asset of really looking at life in a different light. I find the disadvantage in a lot of ways where a lot of boys and young men who are grown up single-handedly by mothers, they do not have the tool to support the boys or men in the essence of how men should be supported, not emotionally, in a safe space. So in this case, what we need to do, as you expressed, is that we have to really have a safe space of trust. And it also goes for women as well, because the level of trauma we endure, it only creates identifying as a practitioner that a safe space is where you are, and this is exactly how you can express and create that start of the process to be of value to yourself, because we were slavely domesticated that way, and most of it came out through songs from the women in this suppression of all the adversities. They bring it out in their songs and their work ethics to really suppress that, because they did not have a safe space to communicate that was valued. So I see that those processes have to be identified. Our communities and our elders have to understand the old culture and the chain of that culture need to be broken. And once that is broken, we can then revitalize and we can renew and we can really bring purpose to the younger generation with confidence of change, transformation, and growth.
Revitalize and renew. Yes, I love those two adjectives together. You also touched on expressing yourself, being able to create a safe space for self-expression. So important that we do that, and we are able to lead by example, right? We can create these safe spaces, and that way we can help so many more people across the globe. If there's a if there is a safe space available, we should not only be welcoming but encouraging boys and men to truly express themselves. Now, I just want to take it back to Rolando, because you had said something that had just made me stop entirely and think about this. Black excellence is not ignorance. Wow, incredible statement. Black excellence is not ignorance. You need to show vulnerability. You need to. You need to create those safe spaces and open up and lead by example, right? We can all do this. We all have that responsibility.
You know, Honoré, uh, one of the passions and one of the things that I seek to encourage my community to celebrate is celebrate our authenticity as a people.
Hmm.
In celebrating our authenticity, it's very valuable for us to understand that if I'm going to move from where I am to where I
Hmm.
need to be, there's got to be intentionality and consciousness about how it's going to happen. And this means I've got to take a step back from following through with the societal or the cultural expectation, and by so doing, I'll take ownership and move towards redefining the meaning of weakness, because sometimes we are scared to be vulnerable because we perceive vulnerability as weakness when it really isn't. All right, asking for help is not weakness, it's wise. So we have got to wrap our heads around that as a people and understand that black excellence is not black ignorance.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I love that quote. I wrote it down. I will carry that with me until I pass. Rolando, thank you. Sharrae Lyon, how do we continue to spread awareness of mental wellness within our Black boys and men?
Mhm. I just wanted to connect back to what Rolando was saying, specifically on the role of what we as women play in men's wellness. And okay, it's layered. There's multiple layers to this, okay?
Let's
But
go.
right, I'm not gonna get all into it. But we as women, we have gone through we may have gone through violence, abuse, very challenging things with the men in our lives, right? And that could have built up resentment, anger, rage, and our perspectives might have become skewed of men, right? So we might start to generalize our Black men as being a particular way. And then that can impact how we raise our boys, and how we see our boys. So I think for women, we have a responsibility for ourselves to make sure that we are well, to make sure that we are able to also do our work, going to therapy, getting the support that we need to clear out and process that trauma that we've experienced, so that we can show up for our boys and our men, so that we can be patient, so that we can realize that when we are able to come together and heal and support each other and create this safe space, we are able to move together. We are able to move forward, right? And I think when the more women see themselves as beautiful, as powerful, and as and empowered, is the more that we're able to have proper boundaries with the men and teach men through our boundaries of how to treat us and then how to treat themselves. So just wanted to say that I really appreciated that was there. And I also say for us to play, for us to not be so serious all the time. I think it's really important for us to bring lightness and levity and joking to our interpersonal relationships, because that in itself is healing.
100%. I always express having a creative outlet is so important. I love it. I love teaching art. I love all things art. My Instagram handle is create always. So if anything, I am the definition. Not actually. I'm not going to get on my high horse, but I like how you were touching on healthy dynamics. Black love is everything, right? We lead by example, and we see it, and it makes sense to us. We are able to like feel the love and just send it out to each community. It's a beautiful thing. Truly nothing like it. Thank you, Sharrae. Next, I'll pass the question on to Bianca.
Sorry, do you want to just repeat the question one more time for me, please, just so I can
Of course.
make sure that I'm on track?
Definitely. How do we continue to spread awareness of mental health, of mental wellness within our Black boys and men?
Okay. I think we definitely need to, Ronaldo touched on a really, really just crucial point there when he said that asking for help is not a weakness, it's wise. I think we need to push that message further, and I think that would encourage men and boys to seek the help that they need. I think when we think about being vulnerable, it usually insinuates that what we're going to be vulnerable about is our sadness, and we're going to probably cry, and we've been conditioned to believe that these things are weak and unmanly to do. We need to erase that stereotype, first of all, because crying and sadness, that is definitely release. And it's necessary to release in order to, clear out any blockages that we have being built up. And Honoré, just to touch on a point that you made earlier, you were talking about how, growing up in a community where you didn't see yourself reflected, there was so much rage. And I think rage among Black men and boys is something that is obviously not the greatest, but it's almost like if you express your anger and rage, then that is fine because you're supposed to be this big, aggressive man. But as soon as it comes to expressing yourself in another form, which is everything is emotion, whether it's sadness or anger or joy, we're all just trying to push through our emotions. I think we need to normalize that emotions on all the full range of emotions should be normalized. And it's just expression within itself. And I think we sit with a lot of these things suppressed and we find unhealthy ways to express our rage and things like that. So it's finding healthier practices to release all of the range of emotion that we carry within ourselves, creating a safer space for that and finding modalities that help do that. I mean, for me as a wellness facilitator, breath work is so crucial into moving around any stuck emotions that we have held within us. So I think bringing more wellness practices and normalizing the full range of emotions that we go through is definitely something that we need to do in our Black communities. Sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, I just had to mention breath work is the most underrated self therapy you can do. It is so underrated. Wow, I cannot express that enough. I like how you touched on the normalization of expressing a full range of emotions. It's natural. There's no stigma about it. We're all human. We're all the same. This is a natural human expression. The one statement you said really stuck with me. You said, crying and sadness is relief. I've never heard anyone say that before. Crying and sadness is relief. I really, really like that statement. This is just reiterates normalizing that full range of emotions. It is so healthy to have self-expression, have these outbursts, have these fits of joy, and play, of course, incorporated in between. It's normal, it's natural, and it's about time that everybody is on board with this, and our Black boys and men are not seen in a particular way within our community and outside of our community, and feel a type of way about expressing themselves. Sharrae.
Sorry, something that you said, Honoré, triggered something, and is paying attention to what makes you feel truly good and what makes you feel not good, you know? So for example, if you find yourself maybe watching a show, and through watching that show, at the end of the show, you're just like, I feel kind of sad, or I feel angry, or I feel depressed, right? That's a sign, right? Our bodies give us signals of what is for us and what isn't for us. So the more we pay attention to that, the more you're able to continue to select the things that are going to nurture you and are going to help you vibrate in an energy that feels more resourced.
Well put, Sharrae. Clarence.
No, I just want to really follow up on Ronaldo's
Yeah.
comment in terms of talking about excellence. And one of my follow-up with that, which is I use it every day, is excellence is a habit. Try not to be a person of success, but rather try to be a person of value. Attitudes are little things that makes a big difference. Optimism is the faith that leads to achievements. Great leadership usually starts with a willing heart, a positive attitude, and a desire to make a difference. The price of greatness is responsibility. When we look at how we really look at the value of what excellence is and how we contribute to support the value to enrich our men and youth, these are some of the processes that you look at exactly. How you become of value, how do you strengthen not just yourself, but you get the results from others that you see that you are making. You have adopted the value of being responsible to support and to create a positive result that you can feel good within yourself. You are doing your job right.
Powerful words. Powerful words, Clarence. Thank you. And Lynn, how do we continue to spread this awareness?
Well, I think touching on what Sharrae said and paying attention to what feels good is so crucial, because I know that within myself, and I didn't even know when I started doing this, but as a child and growing up, even into my early adulthood, I just normalized the feeling of not liking something and just dealing with it, which is a really toxic trait. And for that reason, just growing up and experiencing life, I realized how much of a hindrance that is to my development. And so for that reason, I feel like I always mention to my son, who's growing up in this world, that it is normal to feel all your feelings. We don't want you to not feel sad. We don't want you to not, voice your opinion. Always feel your feelings, acknowledge them, and learn how to communicate them to the right people so that you can get the support that you need. I think that's the most important lesson that you can, or message that you can spread to other people in terms of how to encourage mental wellness, positive mental wellness, and being able to express your feelings without feeling shame or guilt, or that you're less of a man or a boy have feelings, is to always just feel your feelings. They're there for a reason. You're not a robot. You're supposed to have these feelings. Just express them to the right people in the best possible way that you know how, to get the outcome that you'd like to have. And I think that's the message that, you know, I get from that, is to always teach communication, teach it early, and make them fearless of it. You need to express yourself in a way that will get you the help that you need.
Teaching early education, it's our responsibility. I can't express that enough. We have this responsibility. We are the right people you're referring to, Lynn. And it's just great to see us all expressing this together, and just this like-mindedness that we have. Again, people will see this and get inspired, become inspired. I know our youth will become inspired because we are fueled with Black excellence. And I love that we are just all on this panel together. Sharrae, you mentioned during the beginning, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. I love it. I love seeing this come to fruition. And I can't express enough gratitude to have you all here with me tonight for Black History Month. Now, I want to get into some final thoughts and closing statements before I pass it over to Savannah. Does anybody have any final thoughts or closing statements?
I just want to say quickly, Honoré, that I was looking at this new book written by Wilson, guy out of Toronto, Black Boys Like Me. I think the title of it is. Beautiful book. I like the fact that it was highlighted, and I peeked into it. Very appreciative of the message that the brother is trying to get across to the community. And the only piece I looked at in there is the language doesn't have to be raw in order for it to connect. That's my only issue with the book itself. Some of the language is pretty raw. It could be more crisp, but beautiful written. And I want to say that what's going to change is this. As a people, every man has got to recognize that he is a mentor. Okay? So when you talk about bridging the gap between our men and our boys, every man should start seeing himself as a mentor, whereby he is role playing and role modeling for the boys in the community, whether they are his sons or his neighbors, or he interacts with them at school or in the workplace. Every man should see himself as a mentor. If he does not know what that looks like, then he, piggybacking on what Bianca said, he needs to find himself so that he can now mentor and groom our boys to celebrate their heritage, embrace their culture, and proceed on ahead into the future with a new perspective.
Wow, that resonates with me so much, Rolando. Thank you. And I just want to add, if everybody could, if you do have closing statements, think of a call to action, a step we can take tonight to help our boys and men through this mental wellness.
Well, in my closing remark on this is basically an awareness that our men and boys need to know the makeup and the value of women and what role they do play in our existence. In that terms, it does assist the social and emotional aspect of relationships, and to really minimize the violence, the domestic violence that has exhibited itself at different levels in our lives. If the men were being able to talk about looking at the biological makeup of a woman and how she has been created uniquely, in supporting her in all the aspect of what she has to endure during her life cycle, and being able to give birth after 9 months and to see the emotional aspect of our well-being, to support that relationship effectively. Those are asset values that would give true value of unconditional love and on caring to really support and to minimize some of the systematic problems that is being created in ourselves. We as men, we have to stand up and realize that we be in representation to support our boys. We have to have the values that when the boys gets it, it does not leave them, because they become men as us and they will remember what the values are to maintain those values and standards. So the task for the next step action is to make sure we empower our men and boys that they become the value they can exhibit and to be of purpose, to grow our society with integrity and confidence, and not being a part of a victimization process that put them in a very negative position in our society.
Extremely well put. Like I said before, I'll say it again. Black love is everything. Okay, any other final thoughts? All right. If not, Savan, I'll pass it over to you.
Sure. Thank you all. It's really a lot of things to learn, of course, taking and listening and the background. But it's one of the richest or the oldest community that I was saying earlier. To add a lot of things, I'm looking at the population statistics from Canada back in 2016. It was 1.2 million blacks, but right now it's another 10 years it's doubled, maybe tripled. We don't know, right? But the population, it doesn't matter which way, but it will grow, right? And then challenge is going to be certainly there, no matter what. But how we can handle or how we can help them, right? So this is one way to understand the community that they face, the challenges, the struggles, and everything. But before I share the final closing, I just want to share some quick announcements here. So every Sunday we have open up on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and then Willie at a Tamil live talk show on Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and a monthly men's group meeting only for men by men, second Saturday of every month from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Through Zoom. No recordings. Please join through our Zoom link. The link is available on our Facebook page and group. There are no limitations to gender, age, nationality, or ethnic groups. All walks of life can participate in any of our shows. If you want to be a guest on any of our shows or willing to be part of our organization and help us directly or indirectly, please reach out to us. We would love to work with individuals, professionals, experts, community organizations, associations, corporations, government officials, and businesses. Phone number is 226-289-8784. Again, 226-289-8784. Email address is info@voiceomen360.org, and website www.voiceomen360.org. And you can find us on all social media platforms, including Facebook. We do have group and page. Please join our group, and please invite your friends. Other social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have done over 500 episodes on various topics, so you can go and learn, and at the same time you can support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. one humble request is that, of course, you are listening, and then you kind of think, number of times, but at the same time, please share this information with other people. That's the only way we can create more awareness. We can reach out more people. All right, thank you. So maybe Honoré, you can ask them, how we can reach out, or how the public can reach out to each one of them, and then their services, things like that. And then we'll come back to the closing mark. So.
Yes, of course. Cannot forget. Where can we find you, and what can we look forward to? I'm going to start with you, Lynn. Lynn Belleus. Where can we find you? What can we look forward to?
Thank you, Honoré. You can catch me on Instagram. My handle is my first and last name, art, Lynn Belleus Art. I share a lot of my process there, a lot of my arts works there, and also my website, lynnbelleusart.com, where I take commissions and I paint, and my profile is available as well.
Yes, she's a very, very talented artist. Holy, one of my biggest inspirations. You got to buy a piece. You have to buy one of Lynn's pieces. I already see it on the Rolando's back wall there. So Rolando, you got to connect. You know how to connect with her, so it has to happen. I'll follow up with you at the end of the show. Rolando,
Yes.
where can we find you? What do we have to look forward to?
Well, Ryan, you can find me on my website is xyspark.org, or you can see all my motivational speeches and talks there on TikTok, there on Instagram, on YouTube. Everything is under XY Spark. And once you go to my website, you can also send me messages to contact, to connect with me. Wherever you are around the planet, you can get to me. All right? And so don't limit yourself. The sky is the limit. If you'd like us to chat some more, please, I'm open to connecting.
I love it, Rolando. I've always loved your energy, that go-getter spirit. It's infectious. What can I say?
Thank you, brother.
Clarence Wynter, where can we find you, and what do we have to look forward to?
Well, you can find me at advocacy, calgaryblackchambers.ca. And you can also find me clarence.wynter at shaw.ca. Those two areas of communications, and looking forward to the conversation of enrichment to support our men and youth to overcome the social and emotional adversities that has been endured, and how we can do to make positive milestone change and to really enrich our men and boys, that they feel confident of who they are and what they're about, and not having to be victimized and the adversities as we have endured. And that's my goal of seeing young Black men having pride in themselves with integrity and dignity and self-worth, because those confidence are important, and they can be exhibited by just the action of the words to support those values. Thank you.
Yes, Clarence, I love your hat this evening, and I just wanted to touch on, you actually wear many hats and have accolades. You've won awards because you meet people at the ground level, where they're at, which I have always admired about you. So
Well,
I truly do appreciate you being a part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Bianca, where can we contact you, and what can we look forward to?
Yeah, you guys can follow me at shopbia.ca. Bia is a hair care and wellness brand that promotes empowering yourself through your natural and loving yourself through your self-care journey. So you can find some goodies there, like hair oils, beard oils, wellness roll-ons, some shea butter too. And I look forward to starting a lot more yoga and wellness classes. So I'll have a few popping around in the city. So come join for yoga, breath work, and I hope to also host some workshops throughout the year as well. So lots of fun things on the come up. So follow and follow along. Thank you.
Yes, of course. The breath work, again, can't express enough. Breath work is the ultimate form of self-therapy. And I have actually purchased beard oil from Via, and I know no comments were made, but my beard is so healthy, and I've never felt the same after I tried this beard oil by Via.
You know what? I
So
was gonna make a comment on the beard tonight, but I was just like, no, there's no way. But of course, it was shining and gleaming because of that oil, boy. Okay.
yes, you already know her contact info. Get on this before it sells out. I'm looking at you, Clarence. All right, Sharrae, where can we find you? What do we have to look forward to?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram as well as YouTube. I just started my YouTube channel recently. So that is at Auset Rose. So that's AUSETROSE _ for Instagram. And also what to look forward to. I'm so looking forward to holding safer space for people to express their authentic selves. So I do one-on-one and group sessions called Story as Medicine, which is an improvisational psychosomatic practice where we get to just play, and so you can find out that, how to get a hold of me. It can be in person, it can be virtual. And so you can do so on my link in my bio on my Instagram.
Yes, amazing. Definitely go check out Sharrae Lyon. She has always provided me with a safe space and is so understanding. And this is the ultimate detox that we never knew we needed. So follow up with Sharrae. We have all each other's contact info, and let's make this happen. We talked about community, coming together, that positive push. Let's take action tonight. All right, I'm going to pass it off once more to Savan to close out the show. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Couple of things actually. I tried to post the contact details, social media links as much as possible. I still have to do a couple of them. And the people who are watching and listening, please do check them out. And then, if you have any kind of questions or comments or anything, please reach out to them. We encourage anyone. And also, the other thing is that there's one individual who couldn't join because of the urgent matter. His name is Bill. He's very, very supportive person. He's also the founder of Men Alliance in Montreal. So please reach out to him too. Also, I posted the website, his website. So it will be much needed. Actually, we need more voices in the Black community to take care or create awareness about boys' men's issues. So I'm looking at different avenues and details on the other side. But every day I am listening to a lot of people. So that's why we want to create a kind of like awareness about these issues, whatever they are going through. It is also it's very neighbor or very close to our organization or our community too. So I can feel behind the scene. I can what you guys saying. Thank you, everyone. And also one other thing, I want to recognize everyone because we had a hard time to find guests because we are not in the position to accommodate with any kind of like honorarium or any kind of appreciation. But at the same time, we absolutely appreciate your value and time and input and everything. It is at least somebody we had to raise our voice and then to do make some kind of awareness. So I really appreciate from every one of you because of course, it is a Saturday, Sunday, and then of course it's a family day, and then Women's Day is coming on, and you have private commitment, other commitment, but you guys choose to be here. So we really appreciate you, each one of your contributions. So thank you, thanks a lot, and then we will continue this journey each from every step. So thank you, everyone. We love you guys, though.
If I may add, I do want to leave us with a quote. So this is a quote from someone who was actually mentioned by, I think, everybody here. In this bright future, you can't forget your past. And I just want us to sit with this. This quote comes from none other than Bob Marley. Bob Marley said this quote. It is the season for Bob Marley, and I'm glad that we've each touched on this, on Bob Marley, and of course his movie is coming out, and so this was so great. This is just ties in the show perfectly, and I can't express enough gratitude. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Be
Enjoy
safe.
your family day too.
Yes.
All the best.
Safety first.